Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we saw in the last class how Nachiketa doesn't totally reject all the offer of Lord Yama, but he says, I'm not going to settle for it. I want moksha. All this I will take, and anyway you will give me because I have come to see you, so you will bless me with it. So he is, and this is something which is really beautiful. This is Vedic vision. It's not this or that, right? So the Taittiriya Upanishad, the first Valli, it talks about let there be lot of wealth for me, let there be lot of cattle for me, let there be fame for me. All this for what? So that I can teach and I can help others to know the truth. Because if you don't have wealth, if you don't have a certain fame, who will come to you? So you're asking for all of this, but you're not asking for it just for its own sake. You're asking so that you can, right, pursue and you can share this knowledge. So you don't lose sight of your final end, but you're not rejecting everything else. A spirituality which makes you reject everything else. So there is no everything else. When you say I reject everything else, it means you haven't understood. Why? Because what is the teaching? There is no second thing. So what are you rejecting? If you think you are rejecting everything else, it itself shows you haven't understood. So when you just know what is relative, what is absolute. This is clarity. Simple. So now let's look at further what is being said. Anyatra shreyaha anyatra eva preyaha te ubhe nanarthe purusham sinitaha tayoho shreyaha adadanasya sadhur bhavati hriyate arthat yaha u preyaha vrunite Shreyascha preyascha manushyam etet tau samparitya vivinakti dhiraha Shreyo hi dhiro bhi preyaso vrunite Preyo maddaha yogakshemat vrunite Satvam priyan priyarupansha kaman Abhidhyayan nachiketaha atya sakshihi Na etam srunkam vittam iyam avaptaha yasyam majanti bahavaha manushyaha. Okay, who wants now Yama? Lord Yama is telling Nachiketa. Now he's praising Nachiketa. So, who wants to read this? Yeah, Sander.
Shreyas is one thing and Shreyas quite another.
Prayers. I think there's a typo here. Prayers quite another.
Prayers quite another. Both of these, with different purposes, bind a person. There is felicity for one who chooses Shreyas between the two. One who chooses Prayas is indeed deprived of the ultimate goal. Shreyas and Prayas approach the human being. Having very clearly considered them, the discriminative distinguishes them. Indeed, the discriminative chooses Shreyas rather than Prayas. The indiscriminate chooses Prayas for the sake of acquisition and preservation. You, Nachiketas, having examined the pleasing and attractive sense objects, you have discarded them. You did not accept this precious necklace in which many people lose themselves.
Okay, so this is now this one thing that this is that the Shruti doesn't keep using the same words. So when we talked about human pursuits in the previous class, how did we divide human pursuits? Into 4 categories: Artha, Kama, Dharma, and Moksha. I think it's okay. Now, this category is reiterated in another way. And what are the 2 categories that are created? Shreyas and Preyas. Now, what is Preyas? What is the nature of Preyas? First of all, what falls within Preyas? This is, look at this, it's so interesting, the meaning of these words. Preyas is relatively good. And Shreyas is the highest, the best, the absolute. Absolutely good. So nobody, look at this, Preyas is not rejected as bad. It is not rejected as material. It is not rejected as, oh, this is all illusion. It is a source of suffering. It is relative good. So what is relatively good for you among all of this? Artha. They're all relatively good. And also Dharma. If just you want to stop at Dharma being a good person and get compensation for that, it's good, right? You get to go to different lokas, you get better births, it's all relatively good. So this is all relatively good. But what is the absolute good? Knowing moksha. Knowing that I don't need any of this to fulfill me. I am the whole. That is the absolute good. Why is it absolute good? I am the whole, one I am complete. Why is this absolutely good? This pursuit starts with an assumption. Right now, I am incomplete. If I add this, then I will become complete. So what does it mean? What is the starting point of these pursuits?
Small and limited.
I am small, I am limited, I am an individual, a mortal,
I'm a dot in the universe.
and I need all of this to complete me.
So I am insecure is the first.
Yeah, so I am insecure. If you go there, I am insecure. If you look at this Artha, Dharma and Kama, what? I am insecure. And I need all of this for my security. I am right now not really happy. So I need all of this to make me happy. And I am right now not a very good person and I have to become better. And what is interesting is, if this is the reality about you, I am insecure, I am unhappy, and I am right now not good enough, right? Any addition which itself is changing and it is not totally complete, because every object here which is available to you in form of artha, kama, it's all bound by time. It is all within time and space. And within time and space means it is limited. And itself within time and space also it is changing. So what it means is, this limited person engaging in all these things which are also limited. But what is that person searching for? Freedom from limitation. When will you get it? Limited plus limited. When will it ever become freedom from limitation? What you are really searching for, you don't want artha for artha's sake. You don't want kama for kama's sake. Through that, you want to see yourself as complete, non-lacking. And through this method, you will never get it. This is just simple logic. So limited plus limited never becomes freedom from limitation. It doesn't become freedom from limitation, but it does give you sense of relief for a while. That's why it is relatively good. When you got the promotion, when you bought the first house, when you got married, when you got your first child, you were elated. It's not like it doesn't give you anything. If it did give you anything, in the end, human beings are intelligent. They immediately figure out, this is not giving me what I want. But the interesting thing is, why are we all hooked onto it? Because it does give us that happiness. It does give us sense of completion. Like when the child is born, you feel, now I'm complete now. Or when you are married, you feel, oh, you are complete now. It gives you that semblance. That's why it keeps you hooked on. Because now that it gave you a glimpse of it, you want more of it. Then you want it for a longer time, and you want deeper enjoyment, and this is how we get sucked in. So, it is relatively good because it's not that through this we don't get anything. Don't conclude that. But it gives you something which gives you a taste of freedom, and then you get addicted to it. Not recognizing that this is really not the real source. And this is absolute good. Why is this absolute good? Because this, if you recognize, I am the whole, I am complete, do you need to depend upon anything else? The dependency goes once and for all. If they are there, wonderful. We are not saying stay away from it. Do you understand the difference between an advice, stay away from it? They are material, they are not going to be detached. There is no advice here. The dependency goes, what does it mean? If it is there, wonderful. If it is not there, it doesn't deplete me. I don't need to stay away from it. I don't need to reject it. I don't need to give it a name, a derogatory name. It's just that it is inconsequential to my fullness. Who doesn't want it? Who doesn't want to have that independence? Things come, things go. Coming of the things don't make me full. Going of the things don't deplete me. Who doesn't want to be this person? That's what we are really looking for. That's why this gives you that. That's why it is absolute good. Do you see the terminology? Relative good and absolute good. Now, when you're choosing absolute good, are you rejecting relative good? No. You're not rejecting relative good. If it comes, wonderful. You're only giving up dependency, saying that I will only be happy if I have this. That condition, which keeps you searching all the time, that goes away. So, what is important is, for Shreyas, if you want to discover yourself, you need two things. What are the two things?
Clarity of the mind.
Okay, so one thing is, you cannot, the way you know yourself, you don't see yourself as whole and complete. And any engagement with the world, using your senses and using your logic, is not going to make you understand who you are. It's not possible. You need somebody to throw light on who you are. You need the scriptures in form of words. What do the words do? They act as a mirror. They make you see the nature of this I, which can never be objectified. Which otherwise, and everything that is given to you to be known is through your senses and inference. So this is why, if you want this absolute good, where you see yourself as whole, you need a means of knowledge. And you need to engage with this means of knowledge. And how do you engage with this means of knowledge? Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana. You have to listen to what the scriptures are saying. This is called primary means of knowledge. When Shastras using the word, they reveal who you are. When they reveal what is the nature of the universe, when they reveal what is the nature of the cause of the universe, you have to keep all your conclusions on one side and listen to what, because it is Ishvara revealing the secret of what the universe is about. So you have to listen to it. So what here it means is, Shravanam doesn't only mean listening to Shastra. A very integral part of Shravanam is Tatparya Nishchaya. What is Tatparya Nishchaya? Shravanam. Integral part of this Shravanam is Tatparya Nishchaya. What does this mean? What it means is, when you listen to any text, you need to focus on what is this text communicating to me. The author has an intention to convey. So what, instead, if you immediately are in the mode of interpreting based on your thinking, what will happen? If you are constantly interpreting what somebody else is saying, what will happen? You will impute what you think on what the author is trying to say. You bring your own biases and you don't recognize that, and you convince yourself that the author is trying to say this. Do you understand that? We all bring our own biases and we impute it. This is what the author is saying. What is Tatparya Nishchaya? I do not want to bring my biases, and I want to, as much as possible, listen to this Shastra and really capture what it wants to tell me, rather than to confirm what I think. This is a huge quality. So the minute when people ask, right, that, oh, I'm teaching Vedanta, oh, whose interpretation? nobody's interpretation. If it was interpreted by a human mind, they will bring their own biases. That's why the person has to get ready, capture what Vedanta is saying. There is no room for your own addition and subtraction and superimposition. It will only contaminate the teaching. That's why your mind has to become that clear mind, which is able to capture the meanings without any distortions. And once you capture it, then what? Use a methodology to transfer it to another mind. And make sure that the other mind also understands it accurately. If the other mind is going off tangent, it becomes your responsibility to say, hey, you're going off tangent. This is not what Shruti is saying. This Tatparya Nishchaya is an extremely important thing. If you just, this is the modern day, right? You want to study Vedanta, do Google search, Vedanta. The person who is the most IT expert has manipulated the system to come first. Vedanta, this is the teacher. You click and you listen to this person. Then you click and then you have a little curiosity. Then you click on something else and then that person. Then you click on something else and they'll tell you. It gives you semblance of knowing because you are listening to many teachers and you are exposing yourself to many ideas and you are gathering a lot of information. But are you staying and asking yourself a question? All these people are saying one thing, but what exactly is Shruti trying to tell me? If there is a deviation, if there is a contradiction, who is more reasonable? Who has better clarity? Are we sitting and thinking about it, or just everybody sounds good? Here I get this, and here I get this, here I get this, here I get this. Everything is all over the place, everything is mixed together, and I have not actually sat with the knowledge. And seen what exactly, right? That Tatparya Nishchaya makes your Shravana. Who do you choose to listen to? This is when it is not just everybody, everybody is studying with this, everybody is teaching Vedanta, so everybody knows. No. That ability to discriminate itself is a huge thing. And while you are listening to it, you are not adding, at least you're consciously trying not to fit Vedanta in your existing framework. Most of the people's approach to Vedanta is they have some beliefs, and as long as Vedanta confirms according to them what they already believed in, is comfortable. So what it means is, you are listening to Vedanta to validate your own conclusions. Will you ever get that? Your conclusions are faulty. You have to give them up to be able to see what Vedanta is saying. So what does it mean? How you approach Shastra. Not to confirm what you already know. It is to discover something which is unknown to you and not knowable by you. That approach is very necessary. And what you are interested in is capturing what Vedanta says and not reconfirming what you think. And it's not just indiscriminative, listen here, listen there, everyone's right. Get little information from everywhere, put it together. That method doesn't work. So this is where the Shreyas requires what? Shravanam, Tatparya Nishchaya, Mananam. And what is Mananam? Now I understand what Shastra is trying to communicate to me, but my buddhi doesn't still see what Shastra is trying to communicate. I have doubts. Right? And so that doubt is what you need to resolve those doubts. They are not going to disappear. You need to think about things. And Vedanta is not giving you some theory. It's not giving you some abstract model. It is making you see who you are. And the way you see yourself is very different from what Vedanta is showing you. Obviously, your buddhi is going to raise doubts. It's not possible that you don't have doubts. So, what is Mananam? Mananam is raising doubts of your own buddhi, getting them answered. Listening to others' doubts, because maybe you have not thought of it, but somebody else has thought of it, and you can benefit from it. And listen to the doubts of great scholars who have thought about this, and they may not agree with what you are saying. Exposing your mind to counter standpoints. And you can't just say, oh, this is not what Vedanta says, so you're wrong. You have to engage with them and show logically where in the logic there is a flaw. Only then the knowledge is complete. If you keep trying to impose your thinking on others, and others have a doubt, you are not able to engage with them logically and show where is that. That means it's incomplete. The knowledge is incomplete. So, Mananam is very important, that once you think that you have understood what Shastra is saying, expose yourself to others who are not agreeing with you, and logically, right, whether you are able to prove to themselves or not is not the question, because it also depends upon their availability and their openness. That's not the question. But if their doubts create a confusion in you, that means the knowledge is not clear. Or if you tell yourself, oh, I don't know how to answer this question, what does it mean? And it needs further clarity. Or it makes you also wonder, yeah, but why not this? That means there is not enough clarity. You need to engage further to remove the doubts. So this is called Mananam and Nididhyasanam. And what is Nididhyasanam? It is contemplating on this truth and assimilating. Assimilation is at different levels, right? So there are layers. So that many times it happens now, right? So when I was studying, I thought I understood Taittiriya Upanishad pretty well. Then when I taught Taittiriya Upanishad, and when I had to speak about it, and I had to prepare, and I had to articulate, and I had to answer people's questions, then I said, oh my God, yeah, all this, yes, I understood, but it was not as totally sitting as clearly as now it is sitting. Then you teach Taittiriya Upanishad second time. And you're like, oh my God, this, I was saying the right thing, but they had not totally sunk in. exactly. Not the exact place. It was pretty much there, but not totally. What does it mean? Nididhyasana. The more you assimilate, the more you talk about it, right? You can't say, I didn't understand at all. No. It's like, 12th chapter. How many times we all have studied? But suppose I ask you the question, what exactly is the question? Very easy is bhakti. This is how it is. Which bhakta? Somebody who doesn't know anything, or this Ananya bhakta who wants to know which bhakti, what bhakta are we talking about? And what is the question? What does it mean? Layers and layers and layers and layers of gratitude. Does it mean you didn't understand anything from 12th chapter? Of course you did. But everything was not totally in its right place. So, this is an outcome of contemplation. So, the one thing that Swamiji used to say, that people used to tell Swamiji, Swamiji, you are saying things in a simple way so that we can understand. Swamiji said, I'm not simple, I'm clear. I'm not a simple person. I'm talking about something most profound. But because I have understood it so clearly, when I deliver it, it sounds simple. If I myself had not totally figured it out, it all hides behind these complexities. And it sounds, this person is so high level. It's not high level. The person is little jumbled. So there is this is something which is beautiful, that there is a story of Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein, he came up with some equation and some formula. And he was thinking about it, and he was thinking about it, and he was thinking about it. And then he said, this is not totally true, right? He himself figured it out, that this hypothesis or this axiom is not totally accurate. So somebody asked him, why are you saying it? He said, it's not elegant enough. What does it mean? Ishvara's creation is, when it is the truth, when it is like that, it's easy, it's natural, it's organic. It can't be any other way. It's so clear. Till then, there is a struggle. You're trying to fit in. You're trying to convince. You're trying to. This trying individual is still figuring out. When it sits elegantly, effortlessly. There is no pushing. There is no doubt. Clear. So this is something which is an outcome of Nididhyasana. Staying with those ideas, making sure that they sit at the absolutely place where they belong. Just a little bit. It's like in the body. If your sciatica nerve moves a few inches, what is the outcome? Pain. It has to be where it belongs. Knowledge has to be like that. It has to be where it belongs. Effortless. Just see the truth using Shastra. So this place that it takes time. Because otherwise the mind is not totally not getting it, but it's in periphery. It hasn't found its exact right place. This is the primary means of knowing. And the secondary means of knowing is, what is the secondary means of knowing? In order for this process to be seamless, your mind is able to capture the intention of Shastra, is able to engage with all the doubts and remove the doubts logically, yours, others, other scholars, is able to contemplate, stay, and make sure that your understanding has gained enough depth and enough clarity. In order for you to do this, what do you need? Who is going to do all of this? You, the person. Now, if that person in the day-to-day transactions is all over the place, is unable to have that precision, unable to recognize things, operating from one's own biases, prejudices, has one likes and dislikes which have so much pressure, which will take you somewhere. Self-esteem is all over the place, it's either very high or very low. Emotions are all running like horses here and there. That kind of a mind, when it exposes itself to Shastra, can it create these exact meanings? It's impossible. So that means the way Ishvara has arranged this, there is no bypass. Not allowed. Not possible. So, what are the secondary means? The secondary means is, the secondary means is what? The preparation of mind. In Sanskrit, we call it Antakarana Shuddhi. Now, if you want to decipher this Antakarana Shuddhi further, what you will see is what does it entail? What does it mean? Shuddhi means purity. Antakarana means your inner instrument, which is the mind, which is going to be able to capture this knowledge. So, how do you purify your mind? What do you do? There is a detergent there. Germans have good detergent. They are cleaners. So is there a detergent to clean up your mind?
You need a teacher.
Yeah. So what it means is that the cleaning of the mind, what? Bhagavad Gita itself talks about different things that one can do to clean up the mind. What does it talk about? It talks about Karma Yoga, meditation to take care of all the past loads. It talks about what? Raga Dvesha management.
Cultivating values.
Cultivating certain values. 13th chapter has those 20 values, and throughout he talks about this.
I also have to think of Tattva Bodha and Saucham.
Yeah, Shaucham. There is a Shaucham is also in these values of certain, taking care of jealousies or self-criticism or resentment or anger. All of this is part of, or refraining from being only self-absorbed and self-centered in making all your decisions. These are all part of what they call Shaucham. They are ashaucham, and then you have to somehow guide your mind and make it free from these tendencies, which makes it what? Shaucham.
Lifestyle.
Yeah, lifestyle, right? Certain tapas, certain measures you undertake to gain mastery over yourself and your senses. As you, look at this, as you undertake, where can you do all of this when you are still living within the forms? You can't do it just like that. Karma yoga, making decisions, receiving results. All this happens during your interaction with the world. As you begin to pay attention and start doing all this, what happens to the clarity level of your mind when you are beginning to take care of all of this? It increases tremendously. Clarity increases. As the clarity increases, decision making, what happens to your decision making? They become less biased, more in keeping with what needs to be done. As your emotions are flowing more, naturally and not these huge spikes,
Healing takes place.
you are generally much more cheerful. You are at ease.
More stability.
Huh?
More stability.
More stability. So what happens is you transform as a human being. As you transform as a human being, your participation becomes better. Look at this. What is the feedback that you receive from the universe for this huge effort that you have made to bring everything in order? What is the feedback? Not only you're given the clarity of mind, right? But as your decisions become better, what will happen?
You will be more successful. Better.
You will become more successful. You will shine at your workplace. At your home, people see you as not somebody who's ordinary. Your words have some weight. You inspire people.
Guilt is going away because you act dharmic.
Exactly. Right? As your dharma, your choices become better, then there is a compensation for that. There is adrashta and drashta. Your satisfaction levels become higher. The feedback from the universe becomes much easier. So what happens is, even though, look at this is a secondary means for knowledge, for shreyas. But what it ends up doing is what? In the process of getting shreyas, it also gives you better life, prayers. You're not choosing prayers, you're choosing shreyas. And for shreyas, there are two means. One is primary means, which is engaging with Shastra. The other is secondary means. But as you take care of the secondary means, as you improve the clarity of your mind and your interaction with the world improves, what happens is all these things keep coming very naturally without you being searching and behind it.
Your pressures reduce and you can stay with your own, and sometimes you said during studying of the values, being with you is a luxury. This is all coming up because guilt is going away. You are satisfied with your own, being with your own.
Absolutely. Your levels of pleasures increase, cheerfulness increases, everything is satisfaction increases, your confidence in yourself increases, your belief about the world changes. Everything changes. So what it means is, this verse is saying, the one who chooses Shreyas has made it. Why? Because not only they get this absolute freedom, but on the way they also get a relative freedom. But if you choose only relative freedom, then what? You are entangled. Because that basic problem you haven't solved, I am small and I am searching. And that gives you glimpses of satisfaction, but nothing sticks, nothing stays forever. So you are always in a seeking mode. It never, no matter how much you get, you are always in a seeking mode. So I had a friend. So he had the last retreat. So during COVID, he thought, okay, he was working in some big company and he had some savings. So he said, okay, let me just invest in the startup company. So he invested in some startup company, and the value of that was some 2 or 3 crores. And after that COVID, it became so successful. There was an IPO, and the value of that company became 1,000 crores. In 2 or 3 years, he became like a multi-millionaire. And what did he do? Actually, nothing much. He just invested in a company. Because with the COVID time, nothing to do. And he just, Now, you think, wow, he's made it. Now thousands of crores. What is his next goal? How to manage these 1,000 crores. Huge. Now he has employed people. Because, you got it, but now you have taxes that you have to manage. Your future, right? How? So now he needs to apply again the mind. What am I going to do with it? And how am I going to prevent it from just kind of going away and to multiply it further or to keep it at this level? So again, engagement. It seems as though now life is made. It is never ending. There is a yet another loop, and there is a yet another loop. This is prayers. If this is your focus, it's unending. But if this is your focus, what happens? You get it. This is the end. Why? Because I am complete. I don't need anything else. The chase is over once and for all. And what you want, which is your real want, which is I want to be free, is accomplished. Dependency has gone away. But as the dependency goes away and your mind becomes more and more prepared, everything anyway comes to you. That is the idea. When you chase it, you don't have the right perspective. You get the glimpse and you are still chasing. When you stop the chase and pay attention to what is really important, everything will start happening anyway. So this is what he says. Now, the verse starts by saying, both bind you. Why both bind you? Tell me. It seems as though prayers binds you and Shreyas frees you. Why is the verse starting with both bind you? Then it says, the one who chooses Shreyas gets it, and the person who does it is in prayers is what? In the infinite cycle of searching. Why is Shreyas difficult? Why is it starting like that? Why?
You have to fulfill a discipline. You have to be...
As your priority changes, everything has to reshuffle. That reshuffling is hard. Right? So, there is an example that Swamiji used to give. That suppose you are taking a flight and you go to the airport and you are checking in, but you have reached 2-3 hours earlier. So, when you reach your flight in that departure board, where is it showing? At the bottom. Then as you check in and as you pass the immigration and you pass whatever, then you do little duty-free shopping, then you sit in a cafe and have a little coffee. By then, what is happening? Your flight is now no longer at the bottom. And at one point, it is what? Blinking. And what is this blinking? Now it's boarding. Then it blinks faster. Final call. And then if you don't board, then the gate is going to close. So what does it mean? From bottom to top. And in the process, when your flight went from bottom to top, what happened to other flights? They all got rearranged and reshuffled. When you choose Shreyas, there is some reshuffling happening in your life. Things which are of prime importance, they have not become totally unimportant, but they have shifted in their priority. So you're still a spouse, you're still a parent, you're still a child, you are still an employer. Everything you are doing, it's not like you've left everything and gone for Shreyas, but the place that they occupy in your life, what do you see as deriving from them? How you use it for your growth. Everything reshuffles. This is what we call inner revolution. Externally, you are exactly the same, doing the same thing. But internally, there is a world of difference. That to manage this shift is easy? Not so easy. This is why even Arjuna had a question. In the 6th chapter, he has a question. And he says that there is this whole mainstream. They're all looking for Artha, Dharma and Kama. Now I'm a little different. I have a different priority, moksha. I do things a little differently, right? Everything. And then suppose I don't get what I go for, which is moksha. I don't totally get it. But I have also not engaged in other things like everybody else with same level of interest and same level of engagement, thinking that this is the solution and going for it. Have I dropped out from both? Have I lost both the opportunities? Neither I'm here nor I'm there. I didn't get the final moksha. I didn't still understand. In the meantime, all these things which are so important for others have lost completely the priority for me. So I'm neither here nor there. I have lost out on both sides. This is Arjuna's question. So Shreyas is not, even though it seems like a intelligent choice when you get both, it requires a lot of reshuffling. And reshuffling of priorities is never that easy. So now, right, both require an effort. So imagine, right, suppose you declare to somebody that you got a job with McKinsey and you're going to America, right, to work with McKinsey for 1 year. And then you say, oh, I have discovered I'm mumukshu and I'm going to Indian ashram and study. What will people be impressed by? Most of the people. Most of the people. McKinsey. McKinsey is a big consulting company. So what it means is the feedback that you get. Or you say, I'm going to Harvard to study and I'm going to ashram to do 3-year course. People's feedbacks are very different. And you cannot be totally immune or totally, we are human beings. And we all need, whether you pretend or you pretend, oh, it doesn't matter what others think. That's not true. Yeah, you may try to manage and not be so influenced by it. That's true. That needs some work. But nobody is totally indifferent to the feedback that you get from the world. We all search for some validation. Until we become mature, some validation everybody needs. Even our teacher. Sometimes he did a wonderful class, and he himself, while going out, will say, I did so well. He himself gives himself a feedback. And he's not afraid of that. He needs it. I need to congratulate myself that in this class, my buddhi was able to reach levels which were unimaginable. So what it means is, Shreyas is also initially a struggle, because it is moving a little bit off from the mainstream.
And it takes a long time, and you have to stay.
And it takes, and you don't know. Like suppose you ask, right? Suppose somebody goes and asks the teacher, you guarantee that in 5 years I'll get moksha, then only I'll study Vedanta. Which teacher will guarantee? If the teacher guarantees, better run away from that teacher. So, what it means is, please don't think that Shreyas is all rosy and easy to go off, right? Even though it's a right path, there is initially a little struggle. But what still keeps you, makes you keep going? What makes you keep going, even though it's totally off the beaten path?
Because you gain the knowledge.
What? As you begin to, right, first of all, this knowledge, even if you get 5% of it, right, the first time I remember, I listened to Swamiji, and it was a 9 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the evening. I remember really well. It was a one-day seminar. And being the brilliant person that he was, he gave the whole vision. It is nothing for him. He just showed everything, starting from human pursuits to what we are searching for, nature of I, nature of Ishvara, the equation you and Ishvara are one. So he showed everything clearly. What was my mind able to capture? He is talking something about clay and pot. And that relationship is something interesting. I never thought about it.
It was enough for you.
That's all. What he's showing me is the entire truth. Was my mind ready to capture all that he was saying? Everything, I little here and there, but nothing stayed with me. What stayed with me is just this one. What is the place of this one in everything that he was showing me? What was his place of pot and clay? He was talking about nature of Atma as being limitless. He was talking about Ishvara as being everything. He was talking about there is a basic equation between you and Ishvara. And what could my mind capture? Yeah, he was saying something about pot and clay. What is the magnitude of what he was talking about? What did my mind capture? Not even 1% of what he was showing me. But as Sita Devi said, that 1% was enough.
Isn't it a
It
wonder?
kept me going. Yeah, what is this? Nobody has made me see the world in this way. It challenged my intellect. Yeah, there is actually only one. There are no two things called pot and clay. And 1,000 pots don't make 2 clays. Wow. It was enough. Enough to keep me going. This is what it means is, this is also not easy, even though it is the absolute good. It's not easy. Millie.
So I have a question about Shreyas in
Yeah.
terms of what it looks like.
Sorry?
what it looks like to
Yeah.
pursue Shreyas. Because in the example that you gave of someone going to Harvard to study versus going to the ashram for 3 years, they may not need to be mutually exclusive in the sense that if Shreyas is about attitudes and how you want to live your life here, then can Shreyas also be your priority even though you are pursuing Harvard?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is more in terms of your internal world of attitudes and values and cultivating that.
Yeah, but that shifting of attitudes, there is a certain struggle.
Yeah.
Because the feedback that you get from everybody else and now what you see are two different things. So initially that reshuffling takes time, right? But you are absolutely right. As I just showed, that as you pay attention to this, you are going to get better here. They are not mutually exclusive at all. In fact, I will tell you, Millie, that, and this is the truth, I'm not speaking from the place of arrogance at all, but in terms of, I come from family where everybody is pretty smart. So I was the most average as a student. My sister is like super intelligent, and my brother was also always coming first. So I was just among top 10, but in terms of my whole family, I was at the bottom. That was my reality. And as I went to Vedanta, it cleared up my mind so much that I became really good even at my college. Why? Because if the mind is jumbled up, its capacity to absorb is not very good. But as the mind clears up, what happens? The mind is sharp, it's not entangled, it begins to see things much more clearly. And you do well in your college, which has got nothing to do with Vedanta as such. Right? So, of course, they are not two mutually, that's what I said, but as this happens, this becomes better. But what I'm talking about is, even this reshuffling initially is not as easy because we are not totally immune to the feedbacks that we get. And in the process when you're not so clear and you're choosing a completely different thing, it is fraught with a little struggle. That's why it is saying both are difficult, right? But over a period of time, what this verse says is, the one who chooses Shreyas gets, hits the jackpot. And the one who chooses prayers is still in what? Entanglement. Endless entanglement. That's what the verse is saying.
In the translation, the word binding is used. So in what manner exactly is it binding?
Yeah, binding means it's a little challenging, as I just explained, right? So it's not something which is, you've chosen Shreyas, the whole society says, wonderful, and you also feel wonderful. There is a doubt, like Arjuna's doubt. Yeah, I've gone off mainstream, and here I don't know when, where, what, and will I lose out on both? So, binding is not in the sense of binding, but what it means is, even though it is absolute good, there is a certain initial discomfort. There is a certain challenge because you're going from what most of the humanity believes to be the right. Their definition is so different than what you are now trying, and nobody understands what you are doing. So there is slight struggle. Binding doesn't mean it will bind you. That's why it later on says, the one who chooses Shreyas gains the absolute freedom, and those who choose prayers, they will remain entangled. But it is very nice because otherwise we think Shreyas is absolute good, and of course every wise person will choose it, but the struggle, that initial struggle of that wise person, nobody talks about.
choices you have to make. I mean, you have to make a choice of how to use your time, and this is limited during the day.
Yeah.
So then you have maybe difficult choices how to use your time. I mean,
And sometimes my friends tell me that they have these Vedanta classes and they become quite a priority for them. So their friends tease them, oh, you become so boring all the time, Vedanta class, Vedanta class, Vedanta class, we are going here and we are going there and you're all the time only talking. Oh, you're becoming really boring now, right? This is the feedback you get. So do you understand? It's not like, oh, once you've chosen the best, everything wonderful is going to happen to you. There are people who will not understand you and say, what is this that you are doing? Upanishads are so realistic. They show you how this is how it is. Surya.
That is just to maybe try to reply to what Xander is saying. This both implies a certain commitment. A certain commitment instead of energy, time. When we speak of priority, it means that you are committed. Right?
That
In
require
fact, both,
effort.
because even Shreyas, you are committing. Right? In that way, you are committing. Now, I want to have this much real estate in 5 years. I want to have X million, or I want to be at this position in the company, or I want to have my private clinic, or etc. So these choices imply some commitment of the full person. So this is for prayers. But prayers also, in that way, also implies a certain commitment. When she's speaking about reshuffling of priority, there is one side which is, of course, at the mind level, but then, I mean, when people have to engage in primary means of knowledge means, hey, am I going to listen to classes every day? Or 2 times a day? Or once a week? Once in a while go to some retreats? Maybe just 2 days? 1 week? 6 months? So all this requires commitment. And the whole thing can be made fluid. It's not, oh no, you have immediately to do every day. 2 times a day classes and also meditation, and also Sanskrit and also chanting. And you are also doing other things. So in this process of reshuffling, you have to find a balance between how you allocate your energy, time, and so on, right? And then you find a balance, and then it can change. And there is nothing wrong, right? In one way or the other, right? Temporarily, it can change. But still, your ultimate commitment, if you have chosen Shreyas, still.
So in this Shreyas, that makes a lot of sense. The binding is in terms of your commitment.
And all the reshuffling of the priorities, the feedback that you get is not really something which people understand. All that is a little of a challenge, right? It's not like, oh, now you've chosen the best, so everybody acknowledges, oh, you've chosen the best and now you go ahead. It's not like that.
And these Shreyas we include is that part of?
Yeah, so in Shreyas, so for example, now you tell me, where does Viveka and Vairagya go in this?
That ability to discern.
Where does it go? In a pramana, primary means or secondary means?
The discerning between truth and non-truth will be pramana.
It is in the primary means. And Vairagya?
Vairagya is how you interact with the world. So that's being the
Secondary means.
secondary.
And the discrimination also can apply to in here also. So discrimination in both, because there you need to figure out what pramana is saying. Right? Did you all understand what Millie is asking? Okay, nobody understood. Okay, so, okay. Millie is asking, because see, some other text, they talk about, I think, Tattva Bodha, Viveka and Vairagya. So, then Shamadamadi, Shat Sampatti and Mumukshutvam. But she didn't ask, so I'm not talking about that. She is only asking about Viveka and Vairagya. So, in Tattva Bodha, what is talked about as preparation for knowledge are two things: Viveka and the second is Vairagya. What is Viveka? Discrimination. Ability to discern, ability to distinguish what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what flows logically, where is the logical flaw. All this your mind is able to figure out. This is called discrimination. Vairagya is certain non-coloring. Raga here means color, and non-coloring means certain objectivity. Where objectivity in your relationship with objects and people and the world. So this is said to be preparation for knowledge. So her question was Viveka and Vairagya, where if you are choosing Shreyas, which is moksha, where do they fall? Do they fall into primary needs or secondary needs? Because for that end, which is Shreyas, which is absolute good, which is knowing yourself, what is the place of discrimination? Where does it fit in? Does it fit into primary needs when you are listening to Shastra, removing doubts, or does it fit into secondary needs, which is what living a life of karma yoga, meditation, taking care of your emotions, cultivating values, and all of this? Where does it fit? Where does it fit?
I would say it's secondary means it's a tool in your daily life.
Okay, so you need certain discrimination, right? Because if you are trying to follow dharma, you need discrimination. If you are trying to put your raga dvesha a little bit in perspective and not let them interfere too much, it requires a certain discrimination. Then cultivating values requires certain discrimination. Yeah, okay, these attitudes are not something that I had which needs some correction, right? And you to first reflect and figure it out. And all this requires some discrimination. Even putting your relative life in order requires discrimination. There's the primary means, which is listening to Shastra and figuring out what it is saying. What is it trying to communicate? Does it require discrimination or not?
Yes.
It does, right? It is not saying this, but it is saying this. This is a doubt of a person. Here I see a logical flaw. It doesn't seem right. All this is discrimination. You understand? That Viveka is required for both primary and secondary needs. That discriminative capacity. This is why anybody who tells you that spirituality is not about the mind, you have to go beyond mind, and mind will only keep you entangled, is opening you up. If you don't use your mind and don't use your discriminative capacity, that person can tell you anything and get away with it. It is creating a ground for you to be manipulated fully, because the only place where you recognize whether it makes sense or not is in your buddhi as your discriminative power. The minute I have shut it by saying, this is not going to get you anywhere, you just have to believe. What have I done? Taken you for a ride. Taken you for a full ride. Because the only place where you can figure out whether things are reasonable or not, I'm asking you to shut off. By telling you, this will not take you anywhere. So the real spirituality means this discrimination has to be heightened. You need both. In both, engaging with pramana, you need to figure out what is Shastra saying, what is it not saying. The Purva Pakshas, when they ask you questions which are intelligent, you have to figure out why this is not right. It requires a lot of discrimination. And in your daily life, when you want to bring your emotions in order, when you want to make better decisions, you also need discrimination. So discrimination is something which is required both while wielding primary means of knowledge as well as secondary means of knowledge. Vedanta needs a sharp person, not this loose, everything is okay, we are spiritual, everything is one, let's love everyone. Doesn't mean that person cannot figure things out. Right? So that discrimination. Now, what is Vairagya? Certain objectivity in your relating to objects, people, and world in general. Where does that, is it for primary means of knowledge or secondary means of knowledge? Secondary means of knowledge, right? This is, because it's with your relationship with forms, how you are able to handle things. This is not talking about, this is talking about the final truth. Right? This is, Vairagya is for this, making you the person who's able to live in the world of forms with a certain amount of clarity and objectivity.
Is
And
it the basic closet which we talk in the morning?
So you can reply to it.
I don't know, she's asking you.
No, see, the person can be confused or can have some clarity, right?
And then it is the person has Vairagya.
As
The person, see, what we are trying to do is to be a person who can live more consciously without distortion, fear, and so on. And you can make choices and engage, right? So this person, we're speaking of the person, we're speaking of the empirical person. When I say Sonia, when you say I am Claudia, I am a German, I am this, we're speaking of this person. Don't take this basic person to be something else, right? We're just speaking about you. A person with this body and this mind. So this person with this body and this mind, okay? Now, for some, the mind will be confused. For some, it will be more composed. For some, it will have discrimination. For some others, it will be colored with fears and prejudices. So the whole attempt is what? To bring this person that we are to the level of what is happening here. That's all. Not operate from some distortions and prativas, subjective. That's all.
So her question is, yes, Vairagya means that the person is able to operate in the world with relative objectivity. Right? Is able to deal with objects, people, situations. The attitude towards the world itself is all in order, right? You're not non-trusting, means there is no understanding of the world. That you're a ninja, you're constantly in a defensive mode. That means you are, you're not yet objective, right? Objects create these pressures in you, and you take off. Right? People, you have this hatred or resentment and you're dismissive of them. All this means there is no objectivity. So objectivity mostly is with reference to this secondary means. Here, in the world of forms, your responses are more in keeping with what is and not coming from your own projections. Discrimination is something which is required not only here, but also in the primary means of knowledge. Discrimination is so important. This is why the prayer, Asatoma Sadgamaya. Among all these untruth, I have to figure out the truth. In order to figure out the truth, I have to see untruth as untruth, discrimination. Seemingly two ideas which look similar but are not similar, your mind has to figure out that they are sounding similar but they are not similar. Ability to discriminate. So this is very much used here. Viveka is very much used here, and Viveka is also used here to be able to figure out what is the right response in this situation. You need Viveka and also Vairagya, certain objectivity. Otherwise, as I said in yesterday's class, you are a good person. You are operating from this principle of loyalty, but it is taking you off. The loyalty, then what happens is that person becomes a priority. Dharma is relegated to the secondary place. Loss of objectivity. Do you understand?
Can we say to some extent Vairagya is also needed in Pramana, because when you are listening, it's important also to have that objectivity where you are not really, or listening, like you said, from your perspective and
Yeah, your own perspectives, yeah.
So that extent Vairagya is there to listen to it.
Yeah. So you cannot also just confine it to here. That Vairagya, that objectivity that you gain through being able to interact with the world with without coloring, that mind you will carry in classroom, which will also allow you to see the words without imputing things which are the wrong meanings. So they are all interact with each other, right?
Is this also not connected to chapter 12 of the Gita, where the question is two ways the Mamukshu can choose, and the one that is faster is working on your Vairagya and seeing that Ishvara is in all the objects.
Yeah, and also using your own discrimination with reference to living in the world, which will basically make you a discriminative and objective person, which will then help in your Shravana process. Right? This person who has that objectivity and clarity and ability to discriminate is now listening to Shastra is going to make much more. You can't immediately have it. This is why Lord Krishna is saying, how are you going to? You can say, I want discriminative capacity and I want objectivity. How are you going to cultivate it? In the world of forms, you have an opportunity to cultivating these values, which then you can use during the primary means, and then that will enhance the result, right?
And I mean, you can use it there, but I mean, every role you play, you have Viveka and Vairagya then. So it's not distant from any role. So every role you play in this world, Viveka and Vairagya is needed. Plus, of course, it helps with listening to
Exactly. So here and here. But magically you can say, suppose I need to be discriminative and I need to be objective to understand Shastra accurately. But how from one day to the other you are going to become this discriminative and objective person? What makes you? This interaction enables you to become that objective and discriminative person, which then that mind, which is discriminative and objective, then that mind listens to this is able to see the words of Shastras accurately. This is a platform that is given to you to become this person who is discriminative and objective. You don't magically become discriminative and objective overnight. Well, that would be nice, but this is not how things are, right? This is a platform.
So it's a challenge.
Yeah. Okay. So, is this clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.